welcome to The Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for The Swift Half.
You're listening to the 31st most popular podcast for listeners who think that the term carbon neutral refers to an eco-friendly barbecue briquette.
Ian, my friend, welcome back to the Swift Half. How are you?
2 weeks in a row, Alan. Look, we're getting our schedules back. Nature's healing.
Nature's healing. Alan's not gallivanting off anywhere on a Wednesday night to do something exciting. I'm doing something exciting this weekend, though.
Oh, what are you doing this weekend?
I am doing the Keighley to Harworth Steam Railway in the evening. So I think it's 7 p.m. while 11 p.m. and with a pie and pea supper and carol singing service with a brass band at every station.
Oh, wow. And is that Harwood near me? So, like, heading towards Bolton?
I think it is, yeah. Is that where the steam engine goes to? Is it Harwood or Harworth? I'm not sure which one it is, but it goes from Keighley. So I know we're going to Keighley up to, I'm sure Paula said it was Harworth and back down. So maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but it's a steam engine.
Whatever, it sounds cool. And American listeners, try and spell Keighley and send it in to us.
That's a great question. How do we get Keighley from spelling it like that? You can't, when you put Keith, there's no F in it. And if you go Keith, there's no TH in it. That's crazy.
It is a weird spelt town, but we have lots of them, don't we? You know, like Cholmondeley Castle and Beaver Castle.
The English language is just not real. The English language is not real. I get caught up so many times with now and no. You know, and I was educated to school level, to comprehensive school level. You know, I got some GCSEs and stuff like that, but I didn't get anything else. English was always probably one of my worst subjects. I was great at maths and science. English wasn't my greatest thing. But it's like, I've got better, so I know what they all stand for. But you know what gets me when I'm typing, especially at work? I can't get my fingers to type correctly the word the. It's always TEH. And no matter what I do and slow it down, I always go TEH. But I know I'm going my fingers THE. Crazy.
You know what? I sometimes do that too. It's just the way that the keyboard's set up, I think. And to be fair, Microsoft Word automatically changes it.
Yeah, mine does as well, so which is quite good.
Yeah, we're going off on a tangent, but I am going to explore it. But are you getting annoyed, particularly with your phone? Because I know recently you've upgraded your phone like I've upgraded my phone. Do you occasionally get annoyed by autocorrect or auto suggestions really getting it wrong, and you typing something in social media and then reading it back and thinking that's not at all what I typed?
So much so at this moment in time. So much so. I used to use auto suggestions. You know, on my old iPhone, I never minded using it. And I don't know if it's because this phone has not learned how I speak, but it doesn't come up with what I want it to do. But you're also right. The auto corrections, it comes up with some weird words. Right? I know I haven't typed that. I've typed the right word, but it doesn't have come up with some weird words.
No, sometimes it carries it over from Canva. So say, for example, in Canva, I've done something in all capitals, so someone's name. I then go onto the notes section or on social media and type out the same name. And the middle suggestion, which it automatically throws up, is it in all caps? And it's so frustrating.
Yeah, well, what have I got the word that comes up in all? There's something on mine that always comes up in all caps. I don't know what it is. It's something not really strange. It might be like the word strange, for instance, but it always comes up in all capitals, and I never know why.
And for the record, Apple, it is never duck off. Never, ever duck off.
Never, ever. And talking about Apple phones, and we're going to talk about FitFest in a bit, but I went down with my gimbal down to FitFest to do the 100 meters and everything else. And my gimbal doesn't work with the new iPhone Pro.
Does it not?
it doesn't balance. So I don't know what model gimbal I've got. I haven't got a DJ, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. It was a good gimbal when I bought it. I think it was about £80 about 3-4 years ago. But when I put it in, it just wouldn't balance. It was always tilting, and I used all the adjustments on it and everything else. Because the new iPhones are bigger, it just won't adjust. So currently on the lookout for a new gimbal, people. So I'm looking at the DJ Osmo Flow or the Insta360 Flow, I think it is. So let me know what you use. I do know that Liam had a DJ, which was quite good. I used that for a couple of runs, but he said I used, I'm going to show you now, Ian, but no one's probably seen one of these. It's called a Pro Grip, and you put your hands into it. You touch that 24 and you just put your hands into it, and you can run with it in your hand. It's really, really good. It was brilliant for filming at the weekend.
Yeah, we'll get into filming in a bit, but yeah, I use a DJI, one of the new ones. I have noticed since changing my phone though that even when I set it to calibrate, that sometimes afterwards there does seem to be a slight tilt, but I think that's my eyes as opposed to the actual phone because when I use it's fine, but I think it's just the way I'm holding the gimbal. It looks to my eye like it's tilted, but it's working perfectly fine.
All right. Okay, cool. But this was clearly a tilt. It wasn't my eyes, I know that. It was clearly a tilt. Before we get on to stuff, go on, sorry.
I was going to say, was it that kind of tilt? Do you remember when you used to plug in something like a battery charger and then it just really tilted? Was it that kind of tilt?
That's exactly what it was. It was literally it just went to the side, not quite 45 degrees, but I bet it was like 20, 25 degrees tilt. And I was like, oh, I can't use this. And they were about to start. Luckily, I'm going to turn around and say that down there, the volunteers waited for me to get ready. So I think I caused it to be running a little bit late by about 2 or 3 minutes. But it was, yeah, we got it all there in the end.
We did. And of course, it's a lesson to us all for checking the equipment the night before.
Exactly. That's what I should have actually done. But, you know when you've used it that often, you just don't think about having to recheck it. But yeah, I should have really checked it the night before, not thinking because I've got a new phone, I'd best check it. So, yeah. So if anyone's got a DJI Osmo or a Insta360 gimbal, let me know what you think of them both. I am more tempted to splash out on the Insta because it has some tracking on it, Ian. We can, when you set it up, you can set it to track someone and it will track that person and you'd have to move it.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that works across onto like an Instagram or like the Zoom, because of course you were recording onto Zoom at the time, weren't you?
Yes, we was. Yeah. So I don't know, but that's something we can try into. That's why I want to have a look at this stuff. So yeah, let people know if anyone's got one.
No, absolutely. And I did interrupt you. You had a burning question?
Yes, I was going to ask you, what are you drinking? Because I'm gagging to know what you're drinking.
Well, tonight I am actually drinking Fanta Zero Sugar because I don't think I've ever had Fanta on the show. Well, not regular orange Fanta. And you know what? It's orangeade, basically, isn't it, Alan? It's not exciting.
It's a meal deal.
It was. You know what I figured out at Tesco? I have cycled through all of their caffeine-free drinks now, and that's how I ended up on Fanta. Because I don't tend to drink Fanta Orange at home because some people know this, but Jen is allergic to orange and to tomatoes and things with citric acid. It doesn't cause her any harm. It's just she comes out in a rash if it touches her. But because of that, the smell of orange, I won't say it knocks her sick, but she can definitely smell it.
All right, yeah, yeah.
So I tend not to drink a lot of orange stuff in the house. But we ran out of caffeine drinks, non-caffeine drinks. So orange Fanta, it is. Alan, what are you drinking?
Well, before I tell you, let me talk about, I got a meal deal this weekend, my first meal deal in a long time. And I think I've topped you on pricing. So I went to Co-op and they had two types of meal deal in Co-op. They had the premium meal deal, which was £5 for a £4.25 sandwich, a £1.70 bottle of pop, and a £1 bag of crisps. So 4.5, 5, 6, £7. £7, so you're saving £2. Not a great deal. However, I got a Christmas sandwich, okay, and it wouldn't scan. So the woman just went to and picked up any old sandwich and picked up plain cheese and onion, which wasn't in the premium deal. It was in a normal deal, £3.50.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best so far. Listener, if you can beat that, let us know.
Yeah, scanned it wrong. And she actually said to me, I went, oh, it's supposed to be £5. She went, shut up.
She was from Yorkshire, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. She was like, shut up. I'm like, all right. I was trying to be honest. But she didn't want to get back up and go and get another sandwich to try and scan. So, yeah, a £3.50 for a £7 worth of food. I thought, half price, absolute bargain.
Absolute bargain. And I went to Asda the other day. Their meal deals are different.
I don't know meal deals. Tell me why they're different.
Well, in Asda, traditionally you get a sandwich, you get a drink, you get a snack. That's a meal deal.
Yeah.
In Asda, basically all their sandwich type stuff is buy two, get one free. So if you wanted, you could get free sandwiches in their meal deal.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool, that. I like that.
I guess in some ways you can really maximize it if you were to go and get free sandwiches because they tend to be the most expensive. But the other thing is you could have a situation where you end up getting something free that's really, really cheap.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. Has anyone else got a deal on meal deals? Let me know. But I got the sandwich as well was a Christmas one here, turkey and brie. My first Christmas sandwich, absolutely beautiful as well. So well happy.
No, I absolutely.
Anyway, what I am drinking, Ian, is I am on 4 Pure Juice again. I don't know if I had this a couple of weeks ago, but it is mango and raspberry fruit beer, 0.5%.
Mango and raspberry.
Yeah. And it's 0.5%, so it's low alcohol. And I'm making it even more low alcohol because I'm putting our White's lemonade in it as well and making a low alcohol shandy.
Oh, that reminds me of something my dad said today, actually. You'll get a kick out of this because everyone's got a grandmother like this. We were talking about Christmas and various things, and he'd gone on a Christmas meal, and I jokingly said to him, did you get a Bucks Fizz?
Yeah. An orange and like sparkly wine or champagne, something like that. Is that Bucks Fizz?
Yeah. Yeah, orange and champagne. Some people probably know it as mimosas, but in the UK, it's Bucks Fizz. And he said, no, but your grandma always used to do that with really posh champagne and 20p cordial.
Let's get a bottle of Moe and just put 20p cordial in it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you at Christmas? Did your grandma always do snowballs?
Yes, she absolutely always made snowballs.
That must be a tradition that goes throughout the UK. Advocaat and lemonade, whisked up, snowball, boom. I used to love it, man. I used to think I was drinking like the most alcoholic drink ever. One used to get me drunk, I think, when I was about 4.
It is one of them drinks for that you never have at any other time, would you?
No, you'd never go. I think all the pub when I had pubs for like over 10 years, and at no point do I think anyone came and asked for a snowball when it wasn't Christmas.
Same with Bailey's, to be fair. Bailey's just seems like such a New Year / Christmas drink.
Yeah, it does feel like it, but I think Bailey's does get drunk up throughout the year. I know I like to drink it in the summer. Well, as you know, at my barbecue, I mixed it with ice cream. Bailey's and ice cream mixed together in the blender, gets a nice smoothie. It's very tasty.
It's true. And of course, like lots of youngsters, I had way too much Bailey's when I was younger and now can't stand the stuff.
Yeah, it does get sickly when you've had too much of it, doesn't it? I do get it. It does get too sickly when you've had too.
It does. I don't know how to make this segue, but should we talk about FitFest?
Yeah, there is no segue into it. Let's go straight in FitFest. You was down. Let's talk about Saturday because you went down Saturday and you was doing some fitness racing and stuff. And that, first of all, what did you think to FitFest? Because I mean, we took a little bit of Mickey out it early in the year because we thought this is not going to be anything decent. It can't be something decent. We've not heard about it. So, what were your thoughts?
Well, obviously, it's the second time they've done it because I went last year when Matt was there, and the improvements, particularly when it came to a vendor point of view, was unbelievable. I'd compare it favorably to running show. In fact, I preferred it to a running show.
When I went on Sunday, I've got to admit, I pretty much agree. I think a couple more vendors would have been good, but I do think the layout I thought was really good. I thought the layout was good.
The layout was super cool. I was fortunate enough to go there on the Friday to pre-check in terms of media and get my media stuff so I could go there straight away. What that then meant is on Saturday I was able to go in before anyone else could go in, so I could have a wander around. But you are right. The layout kind of forced you to explore the whole place, would you say?
Yeah, and that's what I liked about it. Wherever you was trying to get to, you had to walk through the vendors or you had to walk through something. And it was great that, I mean, I spent 90% of my time at the British Obstacle Sports 100-meter track. That's where 90% of my time was spent. But it was great that I could see things like the Cooper Run, and I could see where athletics were, and I could see where the powerlifting was, and I could see other things going off around, especially the stands and things like that. So I really enjoyed it.
I liked how everything kind of like had its place. Last year, again, this might have been because we went there on a Sunday and maybe some things just were on. But I love the fact that the British rowing had its own little area, AFEX had its own little area, OCR had its own little area, and none of them really bled into any of the other areas, even when they're right next to each other.
True, but I think that was potentially a negative because I would have liked to see people going and seeing other events. So I can't remember which one it was. I think it was one of the CrossFit events, but that had bleachers, and it was the furthest away from where you entered. But to get into it, you actually had to walk through a little bit of a gangway to get into it. So unless you was going in to watch that event, you couldn't see anything. Whereas you look at the Cooper Run, that was in the middle. So if you were walking around, you could see it happen. Same with British Obstacle Sports, but the 100 meters, but it was put at the back of the room, so people didn't necessarily have to walk past it to get somewhere else. I would have liked to have seen a walkway where people had to walk past things to get somewhere.
Yeah, that was a fair comment. And I guess we should also point out that the CrossFit area, the strength in depth area, was a special premium spectator experience as well, in that your regular band wouldn't necessarily get you entry. Alan, you'd have been fine. You had media access, but I do know that some of the athletes in particular who, for example, came for the indoor rowing were a little bit put out that their ticket didn't get them access to that area. And the way that they arranged the bleachers, it was very hard to see anything happening there, as you mentioned. Last year, what they did have, Alan, was where the vendors were at the exit. You had like the chips and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You had a CrossFit area there as well, which primarily lifting type stuff, but you still saw that part of it. Whereas this time, the strength in depth very much felt like it was removed from everything else. I will say that the British rowing and the AFEX were really next to each other. I spent a lot of time in AFEX and I could also see what was going on at British rowing, which I enjoyed. But British rowing was a great spectacle. I'm not sure how much you got to see, probably not a lot because of where the OCR was compared to British rowing, but it was super cool.
Yeah, I'll be real honest and say I didn't get to see much of anything else. I walked around the stands and spoke to a few people, made a few friends, but I really didn't go that deep into some of the other. I walked past them to see what was going off, but I didn't spend much time in them, if that makes sense.
No, I wish I had more time. As some people will know, a lot of the trip for me was to go and say hi to Matt, who was over there. Also get a little bit of content of affects, which I think I did quite well. We got a little bit of a video, but my primary was to go down there, see Matt, also see the OCR guys as well, because I was curious to see how they would fit in to the Fit Fest I saw last year. And of course, it wasn't the Fit Fest I saw last year. It was a much, much better event. Fair play to everyone who helped organize it. And fair play to the OCR 100 meters. Do you want to talk about that yet? And my thoughts?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So you saw it on Saturday when it was all the qualifyings and everything else. So yeah, take it away. What were your thoughts?
I will say, leaving there on Friday, having gone there to see the event, the setup, and the open house, shall we say, I'm going to forget people, but big shout out to Wendy, as always, who offered to smuggle me inside if I needed to, but thankfully I didn't need to. I had privileges already, but thank you, Wendy. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to James. Alan, I forgot my bib, and James came to rescue and gave me a bib so I could hang around inside for a bit. Shout out to Becky, of course. Shout out to Lucinda, who was there, and shout out to Matt. I'm sure I forgot some of the fine judges who were there. Oh, shout out to Mike Moussard as well, if I've not already shouted him out. But you know what? I left the Friday and I've never been as excited over an OCR event as I was leaving that building on Friday because I looked at it and it felt like the future. And then on Saturday, it felt like the future even more because the number of kids, Alan, that I saw taking part, unreal.
I have to admit, Ian, I'm with you on that. To bring kids into the sport, into OCR, absolutely great. A great venue, a great test of kids' abilities. And I like the fact that the obstacles were generic. Yeah, there was no difference between the obstacles for the kids, for the adults, for anything else. They were all generic. The walls, the balance beam, the rings, the wheels, the monkey bars, they were all exactly the same distances. And it was great to get the kids involved and get the kids running and doing all of that. I have to admit, this could be, we talk about grassroots, and this could be the way for grassroots to develop in OCR.
I would wholeheartedly agree. And even though I'm at the risk of being frozen out by this, because, Alan, 10 obstacles, I could do one, which is the cargo net.
Yeah, I get that, Ian. I didn't have a play. I'm going to admit, I didn't have a play. I think I could have got around them, but nowhere near the time that they were doing. A few people were asking me, why didn't I go down and compete and stuff like that? And, yeah, it's not perfect for me, but that type of OCR is not for me. That's not what I do, Yeah, I would have liked to have had a go, but my OCR is, I'm into the running side of it. I want to do the 10Ks, the 3Ks. I would probably do a 3K if I'll be honest. I'm not going to be fast because I'm not the fastest guy out of the blocks. I'd probably do a 3K, but I'm looking at 10K plus as I always have done. You know what I mean? That's always been my wheelhouse, and I'm now moving into longer runs. But I just see it as great for the kids. And I think they can actually develop that because if then you go, maybe even I was going to say not take the quarter pipe out, but maybe start the quarter pipe, you run 100 meters, and then you do the obstacles. You add a little bit of running into it. And I think that's what will get kids a little bit into the running side of it. I don't know. There's lots of things you can do with it for the kids, but it was great to watch.
Well, yeah, watching that Cooper run as well, you could have quite easily have put them obstacles around that Cooper run course.
That would have been absolutely amazing, wouldn't it? Could you imagine it if it was actually inside the Cooper run or on the outside? So you ran a Cooper run and then you did the obstacles.
That would have been really, really cool. Speaking of Cooper Run, shout out to Emma Waring and the whole team MyZone. I know they were kind of involved with Cooper Run. They're heavily involved in affects. I think they also had people on the indoor running and on the obstacle course, probably in strength and depth and weightlifting as well. But I always like catching up with the team MyZone crew, and they had an absolute blast as they always do.
Yeah. I can imagine. I didn't see them on the Sunday. They were probably there, Ian, but like I say, I wasn't around. Going back to the OCR thing, it was great that they had a little bit of foot traffic going by, and you could see it from spectator point of view because it was near one of the vendors near one of the burger places. So it was great that people going for coffees and burgers got to see a little bit of what OCR is about as well. And there were a few people asking. I know I was asked a few questions about it. What is this? What does it do? By people in the CrossFit world. So I guess it showcases a little bit. I can't wait for next year. I think next year is going to be absolutely amazing down there.
I really can't wait for next year. My only trepidation, Alan, and I've always got to find a trepidation because it's my nature, is there a risk that if all the kids come in doing this version of OCR, is it too sanitize and clean that they then wouldn't want to go and do a nut short course or a nuclear blast?
I guess there is that. See, in theory, though, you look at Spartan races, they're not like the muckiest of races. So it's not hard for nuclear to take the mud out of a race, you know what I mean? And not make it as muddy, And the same with nuts. Nuts could make it maybe not as muddy if it was in the winter. In the winter, they're going to struggle, but in the summer, it's not as muddy. So there is that element that they can take some obstacles out and make it a little bit drier. I guess only time's going to tell. What could happen in my eyes, and I don't think it will, but what could happen is that we've got these obstacles. We've got 10 obstacles. At some point, these 10 obstacles are going to be so easy for people to do. You know what I mean? Of all levels. I mean, some of those kids were making them look easy anyway. You know what I mean? But they're going to be so easy for everyone to do. Will that side develop? I don't think it will. I think it's going to stay the same because they want to go to the Olympics. But then that also leaves an opportunity for OCR to develop. So if you can do them ring, that's great that you can do them 10 obstacles, but can you do this? And I maybe see that's what I can see happening. Nuclear races have always had innovation, the Kingfisher, some of their rigs they do. If nuclear can step it up, maybe Tough Mudder, Spartan, and turn around and say, look, right, okay, so you've done them 10. That's great, but can you do these? I think that's potentially an opportunity.
I think that's a great opportunity. And interesting that you mentioned like Tough Mudder. Would it hurt Tough Mudder to actually, in their event village, to put up a 100-meter course that people could do for a speed run for, say, 20 quid in addition to their regular Tough Mudder?
What an amazing idea. What an amazing idea. Maybe not Tough Mudder, but I think Spartan could. I think Spartan attracts very similar athletes to the 100 meters. And I think Spartan, if they put that 100-meter course up in their event village, I think they would nail it. I think you'd see the numbers start to flock back.
I think you're right, because it would also be good that you could bring the entire family, couldn't you? So, for example, if dad or mum was taking part in the Beast, then yes, you've already got Spartan kids, but having almost a teenage type course in a 100-meter course would be quite a pull.
Without a doubt. They could have what we've had at Fit Fest every weekend in every Spartan. So if you had a Spartan weekend, could you imagine that? We're going to invite 300 people come and 400, 500 people come, set down times. Then the fastest times are invited back on a Sunday to run free of charge.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Or fastest time, get something sent to them.
Yeah, I'll get something sent to them. Yeah, that would be like phenomenal, wouldn't it?
No, it really, really would. And yeah, I'm definitely confident of the future. And also a big shout out to British Obstacle and Pentathlon GB, because this was a joint production, as I understand it. And this is the kind of thing that we want from our governing body, correct?
100%. The obstacles are jointly owned by British Pentathlon and British Obstacle Sports and GB Pentathlon. I think some own some on the other. It's great that that British Obstacle Sports moving forward. The spectator element was absolutely fantastic. I was out there Sunday, and I guess how many miles I ran just 100 meters up and down.
I'm going to say you did at least a 10K.
I did just over 10K, 6.5 miles I did, running up and down constantly. I went for a run on Saturday. You called me on Saturday when I was out on my run. Because I went Saturday for my run rather than Sunday because I thought I'm not going to get to go very far. I'm thinking it's only 100 meters. I'm only going to be running up and down there 10, 15 times. 6.5 miles later before I switched my Garmin off. But amazing.
Final thing before I ask you a bit more about your Sunday trip, did you spot the kind of Easter egg hanging around the obstacle course? It wasn't near the obstacle course. It was probably more near the Cooper Run.
Is that the grenade stall?
Not the grenade stall.
Go on then. What was the Easter egg that I missed?
There were laser pistols.
Oh, yes, I did see them. I didn't have a go, and I was meaning to have a go. That was right next to the British Obstacle Sports stand. I saw the laser pistols. I really wanted to have a go, and I got caught up talking to Shapes, actually. And by the time I come back, I was ready to go. So, I was I so wanted to go at them.
It just made me smile when I saw them. I don't know if it was an Easter egg or not, but it was a great thing. It might have been due to Pentathlon GB, but it just made me smile so much seeing them. So Sunday, Alan, you went there with very little expectations. How did it go for you?
Yeah, Ian, first of all, I would say British Obstacle Sports put on an amazing event. It ran smooth. It ran absolutely faultless from me looking at it. I don't know if behind the scenes it was or not, but it looked absolutely faultless on the surface. 30 marshals did it, approximately. They were absolutely brilliant. They knew exactly what they were doing. Big shout to them all because they were like really confident in knowing when someone had failed, and every athlete, when they were told they'd failed, they didn't argue with the marshal. And I only saw 2 DQs out of the day, and both times they went, yeah, fine, yeah, I know I've failed it twice, I've DQ'd. It was great to see respect, and that respect went both ways between marshals and athletes. That was great. The sport itself, I watched such close racing at such close quarters was absolutely phenomenal, and the pace they run out was absolutely amazing. Even the kids, when they set off, I was stood at they first of all went over the stepping stones, then the monkey bars, and that's where I was stood. So that's where I was stand every start. So they had to run 10 meters before they even came to me. But then they went over a wall and a balance beam. And I was like sprinting while they were going over a wall and a balance beam. I was sprinting to stay up with them to try and catch them, the wheels that spun around. Absolutely phenomenally quick. Now, as you know, we were filming. So I'm going to say a big shout out to Erica and to Will for doing commentary on filming. I jumped in a little bit. I thought Erica was amazing. Found out afterwards she's actually done this previously in her previous life before she found OCR. So she was a radio DJ. So it came natural to her, but she was absolutely brilliant. They both did their homework in. Unlike me and you, when we do it, we don't do none. They did actually homework, which was great.
Yeah, can we just clue the listener in how close they were to getting me and you probably frustrating Will?
Yeah. Erica stepped in on Saturday. I want to say Friday night or Saturday morning, I think, when I spoke to her. We got a message from Claire. It might have been Saturday night. I think it might have been Saturday night. Claire actually messaged me and said, Alan, I'm really sorry I can't make it. Something's cropped up, and it's voluntary, we don't pay people to it. This is all voluntary. So I couldn't say, oh, you've let me down, Claire, because she hadn't let me down, because she's done so much for us in the past. So we put a message out. We got a few people requesting. Erica messaged me, said she'd be really, really interested. Now, we've had Erica on one of our podcasts, so I know that she was comfortable talking on camera or, off camera. So I agreed, said, yeah, let's go with it. It was, commentary-wise, it was faultless. We had a few technical issues. I mentioned the camera earlier on. My name kept appearing on the YouTube feed. No idea why, but in the middle of the screen, it kept coming up Alan Moore. So Yeah, really strange thing that was. I think it's something to do with Zoom that we record on. So, but other than that, we had good connection to Wi-Fi. I think there were a couple of small times when it went down, but in the main, we had really good signal and great spectator. Some of the feedback I've gotten, it was absolutely great. It was, you really caught everything. And from my point of view, I love doing some filming. I really want to do more filming. I love commentating. Don't get me wrong, I love the commentating element, but I also want to film as well. This is really weird.
To do what I do, Alan. Do both.
Do multitask. Yeah, because you do both. But you're much more clever than me. You're much better at this than me. You've had more practice, so you can keep on doing that side. I'm not sure if I want to do both, but I love doing a bit of both. But I also love the filming. I love being close to the action.
You did such a good job filming. We chatted on the Saturday, as we said, and I was incredibly nervous because in my head, when they initially told me about this 100-meter course, in my head, it was going to be something like a Ninja Warrior thing where I expected a turn. So I expected that they would have had 50 meters, more of a box shape, and there'd be a turn. And I was thinking, oh, that'll be fine. Alan can just position himself at the middle of that and just basically walk around. And then when I saw it was 100 meters, I was laughing, thinking you're going to be running backwards and sprinting. And well, that did come to pass when you had really fast people. But I think you did a great job, Alan.
Yeah, I was trying to get an angle where I could nearly all the time try and get both runners in. If I wasn't following the lead runner and there was about 5 meters between them, I hung back a little bit so I could get both runners in, show people how close it was. I didn't do much filming from the front of them. I'll turn around and say I didn't because I couldn't run backwards at the paces they were going at. There was no way could I run backwards. And I wanted to make sure while I was filming that I was filming them and maybe not the floor or the sky or anything else. I wanted to get them in the shots. So I was really conscious of that. So running forward at the time was running behind them, should I say, although it only be 4 or 5 meters at maximum, was the way I felt to do it. And we had 3 cameramen on site. So not just for UKOCR, we had Stu, who was doing it for British Obstacle Sports, and then there was a little lady as well doing it for British Obstacle Sports. So we had 3 camera people on site. We were the only ones going live. They're going to come out with videos later, but there was some great racing in as well.
It really was. And watching it back, because I've watched some of the YouTube, what I like about this format is how one mistake can really mess you up, can't it? It can be race over because going through the 10 obstacles, I'd say between 6 and 7 are failable. The ones that you shouldn't fail are obviously the cargo net and the 2 walls that they have, because there are 2 walls. Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, there is. There's a 1.5 meter and a 2 meter wall. Yeah.
So in theory, most people will be able to fly over those, but there's so many rigs and it's so easy, particularly when you try and go fast. And we chatted about flying monkeys last week, didn't we? And how in some ways some of these athletes will treat some of these rigs as flying monkeys, and just one mistake can really cost you. The hardest obstacle that I thought was the rope swing, because you had to attack it so that you got as high as possible, but low enough so that you had enough rope to carry you over the blue, because you had to hit the red.
Yeah, but that pace was at full pelt by that, because they'd come off they come out of the cargo net crawl, and they were running. They got 5-10 meters, so they were actually at full speed to it. So I thought that might have been one, but it's tricky. It was surprising that, I mean, some of the obstacles that failed. So the first one, the monkey bars, the people that failed the monkey bars were the ones that were trying to leap too far. So take Mila Stanzani, for instance. Yeah, she won the female elite race. At the monkey bars, she only jumped to the second one and then did every one hand over hand. Where some of the guys, they were trying to leap to the third and even the fourth one, and they were hitting them and they were grabbing them, but then they were falling off because they couldn't keep the grip as they were spinning around to try and get the next one. and it was so close. You know, it was you had to run clean. You know, I remember there were two races I actually remember where the favourites didn't win, and I'll name them. I don't mean to name them, but Becky, for instance, Becky failed one of the obstacles, and she got back round and she got herself back into contention by the time she hit the swing. But she'd used that much energy that she didn't, and not she forgot, she didn't quite lift her foot up high enough. So she actually fell over the step that went onto the swing. Otherwise, I think she would probably have won that race. She was so fast, you know, but she made one mistake earlier on. If she had not made that mistake, she would have been well ahead, but she was trying to catch up. And that was the same with James Burton's little girl, and her name's gone for me. She did catch up, and then she failed another obstacle again. But it was so close. You know, the racing was absolutely so close, and one little mistake, and the big one that got me was the cargo net crawl. You could actually make up 5 meters on someone in the cargo net crawl. If you hit that cargo net crawl at full speed and slid, you didn't have to crawl. Yeah. And the people who I saw more people than the close races. One would crawl and the other one would slide, and they would come out 2-3 meters ahead. You know, it was, and they were behind when they went into it. There was such a knack to getting from, you know, start to finish in it all. And I remember having Tommy Matthews on a podcast. Go back and listen, people, on one of my earlier podcasts. And he spoke to me about small, minute differences. He's constantly learning small, minute differences to make him faster, you know. And I saw it there in the races, that grabbing the wheels wrong, you know, and you lost all momentum. So instead of catching the wheel and letting it take you to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one, if you missed it wrong and you never caught that swing to the next wheel, then you're coming back on yourself and you're having an extra swing, which is an extra 2 or 3 seconds. You've lost your race. At that level, 3 seconds, you've lost your race. It's amazing to watch, and the technique is phenomenal.
Absolutely, Alan. And I guess I've only got one question.
Yep.
Will you be measuring up the obstacle pit for Farmyard Jam and making it 100 meters?
I think the Farmyard Jam is 100 meters. It nearly always is. We haven't actually physically got a wheel out, but yeah, Farmyard Jam is always 100 meters. I think last year, if I'm going to say last year, was probably a little bit more because we put a couple of carry obstacles in it last year, which we don't always put carry obstacles in, or not long ones, but we had a couple of longish carry obstacles last year. Talking about Farmyard Jam, price rises at the end of this month. So if you're not signed up before the 1st of January, you'll be paying more than everyone else.
So make sure you do that. I guess that's actually the only thing that's probably missing from that 100-meter course. And I'm not sure whether it should be included or not, but a carry would be fun.
It would. The 100-meter course they use, though, and I was told, is not the official 100-meter course. There's one obstacle missing, which is it has rock holds on it. So it's a board with rock holds on it. So the times that they did this week, although they are British record times, they are not official world records because we had one obstacle missing. So next year I've got to see it, because I think we will break world records next year.
I cannot disagree, Alan. Have you got anything else to chat about, or should we cover off the rest of the news?
Let's just go with the winners, Ian, because I do want to mention the winners of the elite race, if that's all right. So in the men's, Ian, in 3rd place, we had Tommy Matthews. 2nd place, Ollie Addy. And 1st place was Jack Andrews. Jack Andrews and Oliver Addy was an amazing race final. So big well done there. In the women's, in 3rd place, we had Lottie Wardrop. 2nd place, Shyla Dehaney. And 1st place, Mila Stanzani. Mila was a powerhouse all weekend. And I don't think in any race I watched her in, Ian, was she leading going over that first wall. You know, everyone was beaten and going over that first wall. So the first 3 obstacles, they were all ahead of her. But when it came to the wheels and then the rings, she just powered through it. Shyla gave her a good run for her money. But Mila was absolutely phenomenal.
What a year, by the way, Shila's having.
Absolutely amazing, isn't it? You know, I think we rated her. Was it last year? We turned around and said somebody to watch this year, and she really has been someone to watch.
Yeah, and we don't get involved in the UK OCR Awards, which is a nice segue. We don't get involved in the nomination process, Alan, at all. But hint, hint to the committee or anyone who's still got to nominate that it would be a shame if a certain name that we just mentioned isn't amongst those when it comes to the shortlist.
Too right, too right. And the shortlist is going to come out. We are less than a week away. We've got 11 days to get the shortlist out. So we're going to tight schedule this year, Ian. All the nominations in, there's some great nominations in there. It's absolutely amazing. I've been looking through them because we do get to see them. So we don't have nothing to do with them, but we do get to see what's been nominated. And I love some of the comments that people have been doing about different things, you know, naming an athlete and then saying why, which was really, really good. So, yeah. We are looking for sponsors, though, Ian, as well. So if anyone wants to sponsor us, it is up. The cost is only £35 a trophy. Get your name on a trophy. You might not win it, but you can have your name on it or you can have your brand on it. So hit us up if you're interested in sponsoring an award for the 2024 awards.
Absolutely, Alan. And yeah, if anyone's out there, just think for that amount, it may be worth just doing it, even if you don't have a company.
Exactly. It's a bargain, isn't it? We just charge for the award. That's all we're charging for, you know, so it doesn't cost any money. But OCR Buddy Awards are out, Ian. So we can make nominations on this one. So I've done my nominations this week.
Oh, wow. Am I down for your Athlete of the Year?
Funnily enough, no.
Oh.
Sorry. I will be honest and tell and say I've put you down for something, only because I think you've done an amazing job with fitness racing to grow it to where it is, and I actually put that down. So yeah, I'm not going to name all the people I've put down, but I have shared my nominations out to everyone. But if you want to nominate people, get people on OCR Buddy Awards. I think B got something last year. Did she get runner up last year, or did she even win? I think I'm not sure.
I think she got runner up, and Guy, we're never going to really tell you how to nominate, except I'm going to contradict myself now and tell you how to nominate. Please nominate like Accountability Corner or Who's Hot in the podcast award, because if I see BeastNet, which hasn't actually put out a podcast for 5 years or something like that, in the shortlist, I'm not sure I can take him serious. So please nominate Accountability Corner or Megan's as well, Talking Dirty OCR. Just let's get some actual OCR podcasts that actually produce content.
Yeah. Pint-sized OCR. Kids, if you're listening to this, get Pint-sized OCR nominated. Any podcast, don't nominate us because we don't want to be nominated. We just want to get on with what we do, and we're just trying to bring you a good content.
No, exactly, and it's easier to fly under the radar if we're not on it.
Exactly. I like to fly under that radar. I don't want anyone coming into us.
This is why we're awesome business people who make no money off the trophies and sell them at cost and have to ask for trophy sponsors. Exactly reasons like this, Alan.
Exactly. Talking about flying under sponsors, I just want to talk about while I was down at FitFest, I went to Shapes. So you know what Shapes is because you told me about them, Ian. And they did the balance test on me. So anyone out there, if you're in your house right now, what I want you to do is I want you to take your shoes off, stand up with your legs apart at a nice, comfortable pace, interlock your hands and put them in the front of you, and ask someone to press down on your hands and see what happens to your feet. And then do it with your hands behind your back. And you'll be surprised that you think you've got good balance when really you haven't. And then what you need is to get some of these shapes and put them under your feet, and you'll find that you're actually stable as anything. So, Ian, I bought some.
Of course you have, because you're a marketer's dream.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, Shapes. I'm going to keep people informed on them because I think these could be a game changer for posture.
I would agree. Obviously, it really depends on you and your own body structure, shall we say, because they don't like them being called insoles because they're a training system. So inserting anything into your shoes, for some people, it really doesn't work and can cause issues. But if you're someone like me, like Alan, who struggles, I have found them to be really, really good. And what I do like about them, Alan, is you can't buy them online, which seems counterproductive. You can't buy them online because you need to go and see them, and they will make sure they have the right fit for you.
And that was the key, and that's the part I liked about it. It's a personal service. It's not just we've got this training thing, and you can here it is, click online, here it is, buy it. It's a personal service, and they give that. So thanks, guys. I'm can't wait. To tell what people it's like after I've worn them for a couple of weeks.
No, absolutely. And we'll revisit this and say you can't get them online at all the High Rocks events this year. They will be there. So if you do see the guys, go and say hello. They are shortly going to be a partner of the show in terms of your full disclosure. We won't have a code for them because they only sell at the shows. So go there, have a chat to the guys, tell them that Ian and Alan from UK OCR Fitness Racing Podcast sent you because it's actually nice for them to get that feedback and know that you've heard of them from the show. So yeah, go and see them. Speaking of fitness racing, can I go through some of the quick news and notes?
Go through as much news and notes as you like, Ian.
Okay. Firstly, if you're really, really desperate to give Hyrox money, I'm kidding, it's a half joke, but if you are, you can buy the people in your life a Hyrox gift card, which they can then spend in the Hyrox shop. It's really up to you. I know some people really like gift vouchers. I'm kind of neutral to them. Me and my sister will send each other an Amazon voucher for Christmas, which makes no sense because we send each other the same value. We may as well just buy it ourselves. We send each other the same value and it's Amazon. But anyway, there's an option for the Hyrox athlete in your life. You can get them a gift card, which they can then use for merch. The bigger news, however, Alan, is after what feels like eternity, Glasgow was finally announced, and boy, was it worth the wait, Alan.
Why was it worth the waiting?
4 days of Hyrox action in terms of where you can race, Thursday through to Sunday.
Wow, wow, that's absolutely mental. So, what's happening on Thursday? I'm going to assume that we're going to have an elite race of some kind because
What?
your everyday Joe Blogs can't get Thursday and Fridays off work.
No, Thursday and Friday are regular days. On Wednesday, we have an elite race.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So it is, as they're presenting it, it's 4 days of racing and a Hyrox major on the Wednesday. So you've got 5 epic days of Hyrox action. What they have done is the Thursday, Friday effectively mirror the Saturday, Sunday. So the events which are on the Thursday are also on the Saturday. The events are on the Friday are also on Sunday. The only difference is relays, which are only on the Sundays. But other than that, all the events are duplicated and mirrored. So yeah, the ballot is currently open as you're listening to this, but it won't be open much longer. Make sure you enter the ballot if you want a ticket. Also, remember if you're not successful with the ballot the first time, to keep an eye on your inbox. We don't know for sure, but last time, what happened after the first ballot was any tickets that kind of rolled down, if you'd entered for the ballot, it became a first come, first served. So they said additional tickets will go open on this date, and providing you've got an account that was entered for the ballot, you can try and buy some of them tickets.
Nice one. I like that. Just before you go on, what do you think volunteers are going to be like Thursday?
I have no clue. Or Friday. I do know when it came to Birmingham, I volunteered on the Friday because I guessed that they may have been a little struggling for volunteers. They had enough, but they did have less than they then did on Saturday, Sunday. I will say when we competed on the Friday, Alan, at London, they seemed to have a fair few volunteers, so there were more than sufficient. I am aware, and this is probably not a secret, but I am aware that like High Rocks, they are bringing in temporary staff for certain roles. So some roles such as working at the not the info desk, but the registration.
Yeah, yeah.
So that may mean that more, shall we say, of the diehard High Rocks people then go and do judging.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. A little bit like, didn't Spartan do a little bit like that prior? They had paid staff doing registration, and then they had volunteers doing the course.
Yeah, something like that. I know when it comes to High Rocks that you can also put into volunteer to do the athlete support, as they call it. But the impression I kind of got was they would still be given quote unquote fun jobs like doing water or doing start line or they have a recovery zone at the moment, so doing recovery zone, that kind of thing. So
Okay.
I do think High Rocks is doing a good job of trying to allocate staff to fun roles. I actually spoke to our good friend Jason Curtis about this when it came to Deadly Dozen because I was asking him at the moment, all the Deadly Dozens have been on Macclesfield. So that basically means that, if he's short of staff, he can just drive around and take people from the houses because, he owns a gym there. He's got plenty of members. And I chatted to him, it was this week on Fitness Racing Podcast, what happens when you go on the road? And the impression I get is as much as possible, the roles that people want to do will be reserved for volunteers, whereas his staff will perhaps end up doing some of the roles that are less enjoyable to most people. Right? Some people really love bag drop, but for those who'd much rather judge, I think Jason has that in mind to try and get people to do kind of judging of that. Can't really segue into the next thing, so I'll just come out and say it. A bit of a shock this past Wednesday, Alan. A new fitness race has been announced.
A new fitness race. So everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. Are we saying again?
Well, I don't know about bandwagon per se, but ESN, which is a nutrition company who has been sponsoring a lot of top High Rocks athletes. They've got Megan Jacoby, they've got Ronkovic as well. So they've got the two world champs. They probably popularized the idea of doing the tattoos, the transfers that the guys especially wear.
Yep.
Well, they are hosting a fitness race at Forders Gym at the end of March.
Oh, wow.
It's currently, I believe, 70 quid. So it's a little bit cheaper. And that also includes you're going to get some money off some ESN stuff as well. So a gift voucher. It's at Forders. Details are a little bit to be announced at the moment. But what I have managed to find from various sources, and don't worry, listener, they've allowed me to say this, is that it is a fitness race. So it will be a race, but it won't quite be a High Rocks or a Deca copy. So it is going to be a race. And yeah, they're going to announce the various zones in the near future.
Is it going to be indoors or outdoors? Do you know that bit?
Well, it's at Forders, so it'll be a mixture. So the runs will likely be outdoors. Some of the various action will probably be indoors and some will be outdoors.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So I like that it's going to be mixed.
Yeah, so definitely go and sign up if you haven't already, because it could be really cool. And I would suspect that we're going to see some top athletes there because, Alan, they're giving away 10 grand.
Wow. You're going to get everyone there then, aren't you? What's the top prize for the solo? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Thus far, they haven't broke it down. This is one of the announcements we'll hear in due course, but the prize fund is 10 grand.
Wow. That's going to attract the best. We talk about prize fund attracting people, and 10 grand for one race is a good prize fund.
It is a nice prize fund. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because we're seeing fitness racing or hybrid fitness racing, whatever you call it. We are seeing it during the OCR thing, aren't we? Because I want to say it was about 2015, 2016 that even races like Rat Race started to put prize money for Dirty Weekend.
Exactly. It was something that attracted people. Everyone knows that putting a prize money is going to attract people. So it happened when we got slightly better athletes coming into the sport. They wanted them slightly better athletes going to Rat Race. Mr. Mouse, Tough Mudder, with his £1 million prize money. John Alban supposedly won but didn't win. Things like that.
Yeah, you mean Mr. Mouse when he was trying to take some traction from Tough Mudder for his Tough Guy contest, yeah?
That's the one, yeah.
But yeah, you had this rule book that no one had actually seen, but you just had to guess that you were meant to go down the tiger in a constant roll or something daft like that, wasn't it? Or something.
I think that was the part that he refused to pay him out. At the time, and I've got to remember it's going a little bit fuzzy now, I'm getting older, but I think at the time they said he didn't go all the way down the cargo net roll. So he had to go head over heels, going all the way down from the bottom till he couldn't go no further. And if he couldn't go no further, he would actually have been shoulder deep in water. So he went right down to the water and did a few in the water, but then walked over to the next obstacle. He come off and said, no, the rules are you have to go to the end. So, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Funny that, but OCR is funny sometimes. And speaking of OCR, Alan, I think we've got maybe one more note about OCR.
We have, yes. This weekend is Field Fit. It is the challenge, a bit like OCR Games. We mentioned it a few times on the weekend and that to get people down there. If you can't make it, get on the raffle. There's a raffle going off. Currently, they've raised over £14,000 for Jack and his family. Get on the raffle, £5 a ticket or 5 for 20 quid. Get on it if you can, people. You never know, you might win something. It's going to be live on the UK OCR page.
Perfect. So make sure you're watching that. Is that Saturday or Sunday that the raffle's on?
Saturday, I believe. Shall I have a look now? I've actually just had it up on my screen. December 14th, Ian. So that's the Saturday, isn't it?
Indeed. It's Friday the 13th this weekend, which is when I'm going on my Christmas do. What could possibly go wrong?
What a time for a Christmas do.
Yeah, can't wait for that. And I'm sure we can talk all about that next week. Alan, is there anything left on the notes?
There's nothing on my notes, Ian, unless you've got anything you want. Oh, sorry. One more thing. Nuclear Racers Oblivion have rolled back prices to 2015. So when Nuclear Oblivion was launched in 2015, it was £90, I think, for the race and £15 for the trophy. I think it's £105 in total because you get a bib, a specialist bib. They rolled it back to £105 again. So, get on it. Get on there while they can. Not often that Nuclear Racers offer any type of discount or anything whatsoever. It's a straight up opening price, 105 quid. It's worth it for an ultra. Go around Nuclear Racers several times.
Absolutely. Go and have fun at Nuclear. Such a great venue, such a great race, and such a great team.
Yes, definitely. I love the Nuclear team.
Well, in that case, listener, make sure you listen next week because it will be extra special.
It will be extra special because it's a Christmas episode with a difference.
It will be a Christmas episode with a difference because, it will be the last Swift half before the big day, before Santa comes.
It will. I can't wait.
So with that teaser in place, I'm going to say it's goodbye from me.
And listeners, thank you for listening. Don't forget, it's up our Patreon, it's up our Buy Me a Coffee. Do whatever you want to help us. No, don't do any of that. Instead, message me and sponsor one of our awards. Sponsor one of the UK OCR awards. You've only got this week to let us know. In the meantime, you stay safe, you keep on running, and we'll speak to you all soon. Bye.